their own kind of While We Wait series, which I thought was really, really nice. And they've also done some grain whiskey, which is called the Grain of Truth. And I have one of them sitting here on my shelf, and I'll also review that shortly, of course, as well, because you know how much I like a grain whiskey. So this distillery started producing their own spirit in 2017. And quite a funny story actually is that when they set out this distillery on Raasay, they actually had to delay their production for a bit because there's long-eared brown bats on the island, so they had to kind of make sure that they weren't disturbing them in the process of making the distillery, and of course when running the distillery as well. So I believe they have a man that comes out every year. He's called the Batman, of course, and he just checks so the bats are alright in that environment. But if you are curious about Raasay, you might not have to wait all the way until April before you can try their whiskey. They are going to release an inaugural release, which will be a kind of another version of their whiskey. So it will be finished in red wine casks, and it kind of tie the knot with this kind of Raasay While We Wait and then this inaugural release. There's only 9,000 bottles available. I believe they said that 4,000 of them are sold already, because you can actually pre-order this bottle, and I believe it's available for £99 on their website. Very, very tempted to get one. We'll see, I'll have to kind of think about it a bit longer. And to choose what casks they wanted to use, they actually made experiments with vodka, that they used vodka and matured in different types of oak to decide which ones they wanted to use. And the inaugural release, like I said, will be matured in ex-bourbon first and then finished in ex-Bourdeaux red wine casks. But yeah, let's try some samples. So the first one will be the Unpeated virgin Chinkapin Oak, and the reason they used that type of oak is that they wanted to use this type of cask because it gave them the flavours that they wanted. It is of course not the same as your American white oak, the Quercus alba, but it's slightly different. You get some other characters from it, so it will be very interesting to see this type of oak being used. And they have managed to get a hold of this fresh new cask, like this one's virgin oak casks, and they will continue to use them as first fill and second fill for the distillery as well. So let's have a little nose. It has a kind of sweet and sour note. I get that kind of slight vegetal sharpness that reminds you a bit of new make. It's quite punchy on the palate. This one almost me feels like it would have had a rye influence, even though I know this is not the rye one. But I think it's that virgin oak that just gives you a lot of spice immediately. My impression from the tasting was that the unpeated versions of the samples, they needed a bit of water to them to kind of calm down a bit, but the peated ones actually didn't. So yeah, it's quite interesting. They are all lovely, I think. They have a lot of flavour. Even though they have this young vegetal notes, they're just very, very interesting. Yeah, you get a lot of charry notes coming through as well. And these Chinkapin Oak casks, they are heavily charred and heavily toasted as well to their specifications. So not strange that I get that kind of charry notes. But yeah, nice. We'll see how it compares to the peated. You get this immediate kind of bonfire note. It almost reminds me of an Ardbeg smoke. Yeah, similar charriness. You don't get as much as that vegetal note on the peated versions, but they do have this almost salty note in them as well. And I mean, it is a distillery on an island, so it might have that kind of maritime influence. But let's move on to the Ex-Bourdeaux ones. They're, of course, has this lovely kind of pinkish hue. And to me, they're just, on the nose, it's like strawberries. Like vegetal strawberries. Yeah, vegetal strawberries is a pretty bang on way to describe these for me. Almost a bit like salty vegetal strawberries, perhaps. and with the Peated Ex-Bourdeaux. For me, this one, because it's peated, has like a more earthy note. It's not bang on peat on the nose for me on this one, but it's more toned down, so it makes it more robust and thick. So it's more like strawberry jam, perhaps. Oh, I think this is lovely. This is definitely one of my favourites, and it was at the tasting as well. It has a sweetness, but also that kind of, you get more of the smoke on the palate, but it's a smoke and earthy notes. It definitely does remind me of an Ardbeg smoke. But I think together with strawberry wine influence, they marry together really well. Yeah. And we're moving on to the Ex-Woodford Reserve Rye. And with these, it's quite interesting because the Woodford Reserve Rye has, I believe, 53% rye in it and not 100% rye. And that, of course, means that it's been made with some barley in it as well, so you don't have to add any enzymes. I know it's a lot of strict kind of rules around Scotch. When you make it, you can add enzymes, and they were saying that they want to use casks that has not previously held anything where they've added enzymes as well, just to kind of tie the whole thing together. This is the Unpeated. This one has such an interesting nose. Almost reminds me a bit of kind of cheese. In a good way. It's just, yeah, it could smell like quite a mild cheese, like a hard cheese, like Gouda or something like that. Definitely quite spicy, but quite fruity as well, and quite oaky. It also leaves this kind of bitter vegetal note that I believe is coming from the spirits, like the quite young spirits. This is the peated. This one almost turns a bit more floral, like floral and honeyed. But it's definitely, I think, for me, the Woodford Reserve rye casks are the unpeated and the peated that are most similar. This one just tastes like the unpeated with a layer of smoke. But the other ones have more of a difference between them. And I just added a few drops of water to the virgin Chinkapin Oak, the unpeated one, and it just takes away slightly of that vegetal note. It makes it really rich, and like these sweet oak flavours come out a bit more, almost a bit more like caramel as well. Yeah, I'm very excited to see what they're gonna do next. And for me personally, I think that the virgin Chinkapin Unpeated sample, along with the Ex-Bourdeaux peated expression, are my two favourites at the moment. So it's going to be super interesting to see what all these are batted together. And they also said they will release the bottle at least 46% ABV. I am just so impatient and I wish I could try it now. But of course we are all going to have to wait and see what they will do in the future. I do, however, think this is definitely a distillery to watch if you think it's fascinating with oak types and different kind of experiments around whiskey. And I would of course love to go visit them one day. The distillery looks stunning. It's on this island, you have to take the ferry over, and yeah, the stills are overlooking like water, and yeah, it just looks stunning. You have to check them out. I'll try and put a photo up here of how it looks. But yeah, I would love to go and just stand on Raasay and have a dram there. But doesn't that sound amazing? I would of course love to hear what you think. Are you curious about Raasay? Have you maybe tried their While We Wait or one of their grain whiskies so far? Please put your thoughts in the comments here below. Or is there another distillery that is up and coming that you are super curious about? Of course, it would make me so happy if you want to leave a little thumbs up and to subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss any of the videos I have coming up soon. And I want to say a massive thank you to my wonderful Patreons. You guys are of course amazing. But as always, Slán